Hi everyone, my name is Jeff Starr and this is my channel Not Bad Films. I make videos about music and whatever else I feel like talking about, and today it is a review of the Fulltone Supa-Trem2 version 2. This came out in late 2019. It is February of 2020 right now, so this is relatively new. I've had this pedal a little over a month and I've been using it in my rig pretty much every time I play guitar. I'm going to sort of talk you through some of its features, and then I will also give you some sound samples so you can hear it, and hopefully come away from this feeling like you know if this is the right tremolo pedal for you. First things first though, let's talk about just some general specs and just some backstory on this. The original Supa-Trem, or yeah, I think it's Supa-Trem, S-U-P-A, it's not Supa, it's probably like super, right? Supa-Trem? So the original Supa-Trem version 1 was released in 1998, I believe. It was a pretty popular selling pedal for Mike Fuller at Fulltone Effects. And then he later, I think around 2012, decided to make a version which was the Supa-Trem2, but that was the first time he had made a stereo in, stereo out, all analog tremolo pedal. So this revision to this is essentially the same circuit there, but with some minor enhancements, and of course it's just much smaller. The last unit, like I said, was twice this size. You can find those used on reverb.com. I think there may be a couple, retailers still as they sort of run through stock. But this is, I think, the way you would want to go anyways. And I'll talk about a way that you might want to look at getting this pedal if you're trying to save some money, because it can be a little expensive or a lot expensive depending on how much money you have to spend. So anyways, first things first, let's just go over just some basic specs about this. Like I said before, it is a true stereo in, true stereo out. Each signal path hits a JFET buffer. So if you're into that nerdy stuff, that's a positive thing, just know that. So besides that, you have a volume control, a mix control, and a rate knob. In between mix and rate, there is a small knob here for phase correlation. And this is the big reason that you would probably want this pedal. So the Supa-Trem is a true stereo tremolo auto panner. There are not a lot of auto panner pedals. There's a vintage Boss unit that you can find, but it's not super tweakable. What this is if you turn this all the way down, so it's all the way, you turn it all the way to the left, and you're running in stereo, your two amps, your left and your right amp, will tremolo together. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As you turn this all the way to the right, as you go clockwise, you will get an auto pan between your two amps. What's nice about this is that knob is not just like, give me a hard pan or give me no pan. You can adjust that to be the level you like. I find that somewhere actually in the middle is what I find is sort of the most fun. Because you're leaving some signal in the amp and it's having a little bit of a crossover of the effect, you get a little bit of that harmonic tremolo, univibe-esque sort of frequency crossing, which helps to make the sound feel very three-dimensional, as opposed to it just sort of like panning back and forth. So that's a really nice feature. And of course, you have the ability to keep them in sync or to make them a very far hard pan left and right. Underneath that, there is a mini toggle switch for square. In the middle, it's sine, and then all the way to the right is warble mode. This version of this pedal, the square wave, has been improved to what Mike Fuller, the designer of this pedal, is calling a super chop mode. And I will attest that this square wave is very hard on and off. I've looked at some waveforms for that, but if you're using especially like a heavy gain sound and you're driving some especially in stereo where you have, let's say, like maybe 2 different distortions on each channel and you're bouncing back and forth. Or you have maybe your left channel has a really fast like a univibe or chorus sound, but the other channel is clean and you're bouncing back and forth really hard. And of course, your mix knob allows you to sort of mix in your non-tremolo signal with that. Sine wave is a nice, pure, clean sine wave. And then warble is the magic mode. That's one of the things that is unique also to this pedal. The idea is sort of described by Mike Fuller in his little literature, his little pamphlet that comes with this here, but also on the website. He looked at sort of old waveforms for univibe units, Leslie rotating speakers, and sort of figured out sort of like a waveform that has, it's not really a sine, it's not like a triangle, but it has a bit of a, like, I don't know, this, he describes it as rollicking, which is a good way to describe it, but it feels like it has a bit of a huh, huh, huh. I don't know how else to describe it. You'll hear that. You combine that with the phase correlation, setting that where you want, with your mix knob. You have a lot of really tweakable controls, but they're subtle. This is not like a pedal that you're going to get option paralysis on, but you're going to be able to like dial in a sound that's like just the one you really like. And you probably won't have to tweak it that much. Again, you'll be like, that's the one for me. But if you're live or you're doing a different tune, you're like, oh, I need this to be harder, I need this to be broader. You can like adjust that and get that. For your rate knob, you do have tap tempo. This is sort of like a soft touch switch. It's sort of maybe not the right way to say it, but it's a robust switch. It just doesn't click. You know, like I have a Electro-Harmonix freeze pedal, and if you want to use this in latching mode, it's like a harder click every time, and so it's you hear it. I've heard it like on live recordings where I've used this. You hear the click, which is annoying. This is just, it's just you push it, it just doesn't like click in. It just touches, and it bounces right back up, which is nice. If you then hold this down, the speed that you've tapped in will double, and if you hold it down again, it'll cut in half. As the pedal is running, there are two LED lights that will flash to show you your tremolo speed. And as you pan that harder, and via your phase correlation knob, you will see the lights toggle back and forth, you know, to show you that depth of that pan, or to show it in sync. And then there is a on-off LED as well, so that when you turn the pedal on, you know it's on. When you turn it off, you know it's off. But you can still see the tempo when it's off, which I like quite a bit. The volume knob has its own little secret trick. If you turn the mix all the way off so that you're not going to get any of your tremolo effect, this volume is a 15 decibel boost. You can actually turn this up quite a bit, click this on, and push your amps in a really nice, like, clean boost way. Other things you should know though on the back, besides the mono and stereo inputs and outputs, there is an expression tap tempo switch. So if you have this on a low, if you have a 2-story pedal board, or it's in a rack, or I don't know, you like having a tap tempo that's somewhere else on your board, you can plug one in. And then the big thing that I think is important to this is that you can run this at 9 or at 18 volts. This pedal does ship with, if you're in the US or Canada, I don't know about the rest of the world, but I think on the sheet here it says it's only in the US and Canada. It comes with an 18 volt wall wart plug here. I have run this pedal both at 9 volt and at 18 volts. I won't say it's like an earth-shattering, you know, change your life difference, but it's certainly, I think it's better at 18 volts. You have a higher headroom. If you're running drives into this isn't like sort of futzing out. I've had some other 9 volt modulation pedals that when you hit them with a really hard signal, they just, the musicality of their tone just starts to degrade in a way that's not pleasing. If you're using a power supply like the Voodoo Labs Pedal Power, they sell a cable, which is a little Y cable, so that you can take your 2 9 volts out of that and make one 18 volt to power this pedal, and that's what I'm doing, and it works great. In terms of little basic things, like, you know, what did I wish was maybe different about this pedal? I wish almost instead of an expression control for tap tempo, I wish that was an expression control for the mix knob. I would love to be able to plug in an expression pedal there and be able to control the mix. I can tap in my tap tempo here. I'm not running this in a rack unit somewhere. I'm not a touring musician. You know, I almost sort of feel like that would be my one thing, is I wish that that expression control was for the mix knob instead. I tend to really like foot controllers and expression pedals, so I'm sure I'm in the minority there. Probably most people don't probably care about that, but I think that'd be fun, especially because you can use that volume control on this as a boost. I think that would make that more usable to have that as a boost. And then, hey, I want some tremolo. Let me just bring a little bit of that in. I don't know, I'm going to surfing here, but I'm pretending I'm, with my foot, I'm pretending that I'm using an expression pedal. It's, I think, very fairly priced for what it does and for anything else similar to this. I mean, look at some of the pedals by Strymon. Pedals get expensive pretty fast. I think this is priced really fairly. But here's something that, if you like this pedal and you're very intrigued by it, but the price is out of reach for you, 2 things you should know. 1, there is still the version 1 of this. It's a lot bigger, but it's essentially the same. And you can find those used. 2, this I bought blemished. And on the Fulltone website, not all the time, but there's occasionally products that, for whatever reason, are marked as blemished. And so there's usually a fairly generous price reduction on that. I can't find what's wrong with this, really. There's no scratches, there's no nicks, there's no missing, the sticker's not crooked, it's not missing a rubber foot, or the screws aren't stripped or anything. This volume knob being slightly crooked, and thus sort of when you turn it, it's sort of like smooth, and then it's like a little tight, and then it gets smooth again. And I only would notice that because in comparison to the other knobs, which are like nice and, you know, robust turning machines of glory, this one's a little hiccupy. Like that's it. So that means that you can save a fair amount of money by buying blemished, go for that. I can't say that every blemish product is going to have that minor of a blemish, but I've seen a couple other people talk about buying blemish products and saying that they were in pretty good shape. And considering that this is going to be something I'm going to stomp on with my feet, I'm not so worried if it had a scratch in it or something. I have pedals that I've had for over 20 years, and I take care of my stuff, and, they get a little nick here and there or whatever, that's fine. That's part of the fun of playing with these things, right? So if the cost of this was like making it out of reach, I recommend that because I think this is a great pedal, and I think you should probably really consider it. So that's a way that you can maybe do so if that was a thing holding you back. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed this review and demo of this pedal, the Fulltone Supa-Trem, the Fulltone Supa-Trem2 version 2, the now smaller enclosure. I really recommend this. I really like it a lot. I didn't say this before, but it is a very strong metal body here, so I suspect this will last a very long time. If you like this video, please check out other stuff on my channel, and I have a Patreon page if you want to check that out as well. Thank you to everyone who supports me making these videos, and go practice. Go grab your guitar, go practice, have some fun. All right, thanks for watching.